Welcome everyone to this Q&A's webinar brought to you by the Europubhealth program and the Europubhealth Students and Alumni Association. We should be around 500 participants today. We'll start the session with a short presentation of the Europubhealth Plus program, and then the panelists will answer your questions. We'll start with a short presentation of the panelists. I'm Marion Lecoq. I'm the program coordinator here in France. And I will be in contact with you most probably if you apply for the program and if you get selected for it.
My name is Anna Schatella. I'm a member of the recruitment team in Jagiellonian University in Krakow, Poland. So I work mostly for recruitment procedures.
I'm Jordan. I'm currently in Maastricht for my second year. I did my first year in Granada, and I'm from the States, and I'm the president of the Students and Alumni Association that we will refer to as EPHSA.
Hello everyone, I'm Gaëtan Duport. I'm French, currently doing the pathway Dublin and Maastricht, so I'm in year 2 in Maastricht.
Hello everyone, my name is Cynthia Vargas. I'm Colombian. I do my first year in Granada, and currently I am doing my second year in Paris, the specialization of occupational health and environment.
Hello everyone, my name is Desmond Aji. I am from Cameroon. I did my first year in the University of Sheffield, and I'm currently at the Jagiellonian University in Poland for the second year, specialization in health economics and governance.
Hi everyone, my name is Fauzan. I'm from Indonesia, and right now I am in Paris. I'm doing the track of Sheffield and Paris, doing the specialization of environmental health and occupational health.
Hello everybody, thank you for turning on, and thank you for organizing this very nice meeting. Thank you for the students to joining. I'm Olivier Grimaud. I'm the academic coordinator of the Europubhealth program. So I speak, I believe, on behalf of all the universities who are very glad to propose these very enthusiastic programs to students in public health.
I'd like to say a few words about the program. So the Europubhealth program stands for the European Master in Public Health, and it's what we call an Erasmus Mundus joint master's degree. It's a kind of higher education program that is supported by the European Commission, and most specifically it's Erasmus Plus funding program. And it enables several universities to collaborate to deliver together one single program. So there is actually a whole catalog of the existing Erasmus Mundus joint master's degrees, and our degree is specialized in public health. So we have a consortium of 8 European universities, so in Spain, in the UK, in Poland, in the Netherlands, in France, in Belgium and Ireland. The first intake of this program was launched already in 2006. And the support of the Erasmus Plus program enables us to offer full Erasmus Mundus Excellence scholarships to the best applicants every year, around 20 per intake, but we'll get back to that later. It's a 2-year double master degree program. So students, basically this is how it works. Students spend the first academic year in one of the partner universities, and they follow a program of core competencies in public health. And then they go to another university, which is a member of among the consortium members, to follow a specialization course based on the interest and the career prospects that the students have. And depending on the university, the course is delivered in either in English, in Spanish, or in French. This is how the program is built. So as you can see, there is also an integration module at the end of each academic year, where all students gather in one place to follow a 3-week program before they proceed to the second year or they graduate from the program. At the end of this 2-year program, the students get a joint certificate of achievement that is delivered by on behalf of the whole consortium, and a master's degree in public health from their first year university, and another master's degree from the second year university. So that's why we call it a double degree program, because students at the end get 2 master's degrees and a joint diploma certificate of achievement, sorry. Just a few insights why choose Europubhealth Plus over other public health programs. So our alumni will be able to give more insights on that based on their own experience. But the main characteristic of this program is that you can, in 2 years, you get to study in 2 different, at least 2 different European universities, and in up to 3 languages. You get to learn from high-profile international faculty. Indeed, in each study pathway, each university, both European and non-European professors from various backgrounds bring their expertise to the program. As I just said, you graduate from two different universities. You can this program get you access to further studies at PhD level. Around 1/3 of our alumni pursue with a PhD program after graduating from Europubhealth. You can access a wide range of employment opportunities thanks to the 7 different specializations that are offered in the second year. And when after graduation, graduates work as public health experts in the private or public sector at the global, national, or local level. And entering Europubhealth is also entering a large network of public health professionals and academics. And last but not least, you get to meet people from all around the world and live a unique multicultural experience, because our cohort of students are very diverse in terms of academic backgrounds, but also in terms of geographical origin. So you get to spend 2 years in a very multicultural environment. Just a word about the participation cost, because we get the question a lot. So for non-European students, the 2-year course is 16,000 euros and 11,000 euros for European students. European students, in our own definition, is a little wider than what we call the EU member states, because we also include the UK for now, Macedonia, Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway, Turkey, and Serbia, because these countries have collaborations in place with the Erasmus Plus program that is supporting the Europubhealth Master course. And as I said at the beginning, thanks to the support of the European Commission, we are able to offer full Erasmus Mundus Excellence scholarships to cover what is listed here, and also includes a monthly stipend for accommodation and travel costs. So you can get up to 46,000 euros for the 2-year course. We are able to offer these kind of scholarships to about 20 students every year, so to our best applicants. You all know, I hope so, the admission requirements that are listed on our website. So to get into the course, you need to have at least a bachelor degree. You can still apply even if you are if you are finishing it this year. You need to be proficient in the languages you want to study in. So either in English and Spanish, English and Spanish and French, or English and French. And you need to submit a complete online application. In the application, we ask for a valid passport, a CV, a motivation letter, copies of your previous degrees and transcripts, evidence of language proficiency depending on the study pathway you applied for. And I insist on the fact that the language proficiency requirements that are listed on our websites are really strict, and they really cannot be adjusted on an individual basis. So I know we get a lot of questions about this because we have many different situations, but these requirements are set by the consortium and they cannot be modified. So please make sure you fall into this criteria. We ask for a proof of residence for those of you who want to apply for the scholarship. The full details about what this proof of residence should be is on the instructions for applicants, which I will mention later. And we ask for 2 referees. Jordan, do you want to take over for the evaluation criteria, maybe?
Yes, for sure. So as you guys can see, we're being evaluated on a lot of different things. So one of the main reasons is why they want to know why you're applying for this program, especially your chosen pathway. What is your motivation in choosing that country and that specific pathway for your year 2, and how that lines up with your previous training and what you plan to do in the future. And of course, your grades and what you've done in your previous degrees, no matter what those are very important. And I know in my current cohort, we have students that didn't study anything related to health prior, but have a strong desire to do so in the future and have some kind of experience in that. And I came from a degree directly related in public health. Some of the people are practitioners of health, like doctors or nurses. So there are a wide range of people that have applied to this program, and they all demonstrate a very good connection to why public health for them in the future. And of course, professional experience goes with that as well. What have you done in the past? I know I've seen several questions about fresh graduates. I myself, along with 3 other people in my cohort, didn't do any work prior to this because we went directly to school, and that is possible. And international prospects and projects, what have you done to demonstrate your desire to do something on an international scale and not just one country scale? And then, of course, the personal skills like adaptability and your self-determination, self-starting, and your suitability for working in teams, because public health is a team sport, like I like to say, and we do so many group projects together. And these, as you can see, are some good tips for how to write a good motivation letter, as of course, that is one of the very important things in applying. And you're always able to look up examples of motivation letters for public health on Google, and having a good, strong motivation letter is very important for this, because that's how the application committee can see your personal voice and why you belong to this program and not anyone else.
Thank you, Jordan. And maybe we can get the insights from Olivier on that, because you know, you have reviewed a lot of applications, so maybe you can tell us what makes a good application from your point of view.
Yeah, thank you, Marion. Well, I completely agree with Jordan's comments, and if I could just add on that, it is frustrating really that we have so many applicants, and we would like to know them. We have some objective criteria to judge their application, their academic achievements, their pathway prior to applying to the program. But often that's not enough, and we'd like to see what kind of person they are and what is, as Jordan said, what is the desire to apply for this program, this particular program of public health, which is like others, but with some specificity that I think you've understood from the description of Marion. And yeah, short of being able to interview you, to see you, and to see what is animating you, for that we have to rely on the motivation letter is your most personal contribution to your application. So it's very important that it is your motivation. It should be as it said. It's a motivation letter, and I think you need to make sure that people reading it. What I'm trying to look at is that just make sure that people who are applying know what they are applying for, and explain why they are applying for. Yes, desire is the right word, or the motivation or desire is the right word here. So know what you are going for. If we, you need to make sure that you know what you're exposing yourself into. It's a fascinating program, very entertaining, a little bit challenging. So you have to be up to this challenge, and that's important. The other thing is, it should be your style as well. It should be personal, as Jordan said it. It's personal. The motivation letter should be personal. You don't ask a robot or somebody else to write it for you. That will fail. It will not work. And personal means that yes, somebody like Jordan, who's done maybe prior education in public health, will do a motivation letter, taking that into account, and maybe drawing on a long vocation in doing public health work or changing the planet, like we all want to do. But other people might just have discovered public health in the last year or the bachelor studies and so forth. They might have done humanities or something which is not as closely related to public health like than, for example, medical science or healthcare or whatever would be. But it doesn't matter if you really can convince the selection committee that you're animated by a desire to do something that you understood what it is, and it's your style, it's your personal view, then you give yourself the best chance. So I think that's what I could add, maybe, Marion, to a motivation letter. It is important, yes. I should stress that.
Thank you. Anyone from the panelists want to add anything on this aspect? Maybe do you remember what you wrote in your letter that could help the applicants? Yes, Cynthia?
Yes, well, it was not easy. No, it takes time. So the tips that I can provide are: do an introspection of yourself. Ask yourself about your skills, your improvements area. Ask also why Europubhealth should choose you. Use your professional or personal goals as an advantage. Why public health? Why the pathway that you choose? Why will your skills uplift with a Europubhealth program? And also try to link your goals with the first and the second year path you have chosen, and demonstrate that you have an open mind.
Great, thank you.
If I can add something, I would say it's open to everyone, because in my pathway last year, this year, I've met incredible people with incredible background, and also people with just bachelor and no specific, I would say, incredible skills on the paper. But once you discover the people, you see people have all something special. I mean, you can be just 21 years old and apply for this program and be in this program, and you can be also 40-year-old and applied and be in this program. So everything is different, but it's just how you convince the consortium to get in the program, what you have to see with public health, what do you like in public health, is, I think, the most important point to emphasize in your letter.
Yes, sure. We really need, I mean, the selection committee really needs to get really quickly from your application the added value for you to join the program. So make sure you think about it when writing the letter. Anna, do you want to add anything about this part?
If I could.
Fauzan, sorry.
No, so if I could add something to the prospective students is that probably just be confident about yourself, like what Cynthia have said, like try to introspect yourself and then also be yourself in the motivation letter, and also take your time writing the motivation letter, because it's not just, you can do it like in one night, but then the result wouldn't be your best effort. So take your time in writing the motivation letter, take like a month, 1 week, because like after you write it, you could like leave it for a moment and then read it a few days later and see how it goes. Would it like to change anything? And also ask your friends, ask maybe your colleagues to actually read it and get their feedback, so that you could actually improve how you write and then how you actually present yourself in this motivation letter, because it is very important, that which has been mentioned before. Maybe that's all I could add.
Thank you.
Maybe.
Yes, Anna.
I will add, as it's been already said, please take your time and read carefully what you've prepared, because it's very important to send us to submit the motivation letter just for Europubhealth program. I say that because it happens that we receive a motivation letter for another university, and in this case we cannot accept it. Okay, personally I can understand that a candidate prepares just the same scheme, the same motivation letter for different places, but sorry, it does not work like this. It must be just for our program. So please be careful and read it again once done. Thank you.
If I should add something, I believe that the introductory part of your motivation letter should be captivating. It should actually call the attention of the reader. The reader should be enthusiastic, and he or she would want to read more and would want to read throughout, would want to read the whole of the motivation letter. And as Fauzan said, once you have take your time, write the motivation letter, keep it away for a while, revisit it, check your grammatical errors. You could share it with your colleagues, with your friends for a review and get their input prior to the submission. I think that's just what I wanted to add. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, indeed, you should know that the program is kind of competitive, because the selection committee receives about 800 800 applications every year. So you need to, pop up directly from the pile. So think about this. I see that we are receiving some questions in the Q&A box, and some of our panelists are answering them while we're talking, but you should know that we'll have a specific moment afterwards to read the question that we receive and to answer them. So to apply, we have an application platform. The application is entirely done online. Sorry. So the application platform is now open. You have until the 12th of January to apply if you want to be considered for an Erasmus Mundus Excellence Scholarship. If you can find other funding sources, you still have until the 10th of May 2022 to apply, except if you want to study the first year at the University of Liège in Belgium in French. In that case, you need to submit your application before the 2nd of March 2022, because the visa process for international students coming to Belgium is unfortunately slightly longer than for other countries. So that's why we have an earlier date. Before you submit, or actually, before you even start your application, please read the instructions for 2022 applicants that you can find on the homepage of our application platform. Here you can see it's marked with a red arrow. So please click on these instructions for 2022 applicants. This is where you will find the detailed explanations on how to complete your application form, what are the technical requirements for the documents, and everything you should know about how to apply for the program. So please really read this document carefully before starting anything. And you can also refer to our frequently asked questions document that where you should find most of the answers to the question you might still have after reading the instructions for applicants. This year, now we are doing a Q&A webinar, but there was one similar session held last year, which you can watch too on our YouTube channel. So we, on purpose, we didn't address all the questions that we received this year because they are already covered in this video from last year. So please also watch the video from last year's session. So when to apply, I just mentioned that. So you have 3 months before the first deadline to really take time to prepare a qualitative application that will get you in the top of our ranking list. And now, because this webinar is co-hosted by the Europubhealth Students and Alumni Association, which is a really active association, thanks to the elected board members and the rest of the association members. I'll give you the floor, Jordan, so that you can explain us how the association works and what you can bring to the prospective students.
Okay, so like Marian said, EPHSA is what we call the Europubhealth Students and Alumni Association, and it was started in 2013 when a bunch of the EPH alumni realized that we had a great network and we should be leveraging it more than we were. And so every current student, staff, alumni, faculty member are all members of this. And the mission, as you can see, is to facilitate, strengthen, and protect all of the kinds of relationships that we have within the students, faculty, and staff in EPH. And I'm not going to go through these word for word as you can see them, but basically EPHSA exists to organize events and provide a place and a network for people to have networking events and to get to know each other better and have partnerships. I know I reached out prior to submitting my application and after being accepted. So reached out to EPHSA and asked to be connected with students from the same pathway as me or from similar backgrounds as me or from the same country. And EPHSA was able to connect me with people so I can get my questions answered on a more one-on-one level. And we also represent EPH, no, you're fine. EPH on an Erasmus Mundus Association level. So all the Erasmus Mundus degrees, I think there's over 400 of them technically, and within the consortium for EPH as well. So when the consortium has meetings, there are representatives of EPHSA there to make sure that we understand what the consortium is doing and that the consortium understands that we're here to support them in some of the events that we're doing. And here are the current board members. That's me in the top left corner. And Mashkor is our external communications officer and Erasmus Mundus representative, and he is with us today. And the rest of our members are either current students or alumni, and most of them are in class right now, actually. And here are some of the most submitted question topics. I think I'm just going to take one and have any of the panelists answer them. Most of you filled out a few questions on the form that we sent, and I know that the Q&A is blowing up right now, but please try to wait until, unless your question is not on here and has not been answered, make sure that you read all the information on the website, and after this session, prior to asking more questions, because there's a lot of information available to get your questions answered. So the first question is, how do students decide between the two first-year English programs, Sheffield versus Dublin? I didn't do either of them, so I can't really answer that question. So if some of you guys want to answer.
Maybe I could give my point of view. So that was actually my decision between Sheffield and Dublin. And as why I chose Sheffield is one of my consideration is actually the environment itself. Like there's no question that both universities are very good, but then the reason why I actually chose Sheffield is more because of the environment, which is, well, I would say a smaller city compared to Dublin. So I would prefer, studying and actually living there to actually let me adjust myself before, going to a big city from Indonesia. It's quite a challenge. So going to Sheffield would actually be easier for me to transition. And also the living cost was actually the second reason why I chose Sheffield compared to Dublin. Well, that's my perspective, but for study itself, both of them are equally good.
I think for me, I looked at the core modules and the elective modules offered in both universities, and I tried to figure out which elective would look better after I graduate on my certificate or the skills that I could gain. So I remember ECD had electives on statistics and advanced epidemiology, which made me want to go that pathway a bit more. I can't really recall what elective modules offered in Sheffield were. The core modules in both the universities are more over the same, but the electives that made me want to go to ECD.
As a former student in Dublin, I would say, well, I left both Dublin and Sheffield. So I'm the maybe the opposite of Thousand. Thousand wanted a smaller city, and I was looking for something bigger. I didn't take in consideration before going the cost of living in Dublin, and it was a huge mistake because I'm a self-funded student. Even if I come from a Western country, it was horrible at start there to find an accommodation due to the prices. So you have to consider the cost of living. There's different websites to help you, not specified for students, but I mean for people who are traveling. So it's important to consider this point. On the different courses, I talked a lot with people in Sheffield last year, so I think we have the same core modules. You have just few electives who are different, so it's interesting to see the different electives. You have also to consider you are mixed with people who do different program, but just in 1 year, not the Europubhealth master. So for us with Shibu, we were 15 from the Europubhealth program with 35 people registered just at the University College of Dublin. So it's also interesting to see the mix with over nationalities and people coming from different countries. So everything has to be weighed, the pros and the cons. What do you can put in the pros and the cons? But at the end, for maybe the academic, it's practically similar.
Thank you. We were joined by Mashko. Hi, sorry you were not here at the beginning. So can you introduce yourself and maybe share your thoughts on Sheffield?
Hi everyone, Mashko is from Nigeria and on the Sheffield and Krakow pathway. I would say I chose Sheffield over Dublin primarily because of some of the reasons that Gleiton mentioned. It probably depends on you. What are you looking for? You have to do your research into these two cities and see which will be more convenient and comfortable for you. Will it be easy for you to live in a quiet small city, or do you prefer a large city? You have to consider the standard of living. You have to consider the program as well, and the models that are involved. What I would advise is that you should talk to past students from each of these countries, get their experience, and that way you can decide for yourself whether Sheffield is better for you or Dublin is better for you. Thanks.
Thank you. And we also have two other options for the first academic year. So we have the same foundation course offered in Granada, in Spain, in Spanish, sorry, and the same course offered in Liège, in Belgium, in French. So if you are proficient enough in Spanish or French, you should know that you can apply for this pathway too, and we actually receive less applications for this pathway, so it might be interesting in terms of competitiveness to apply for these pathways as well. So you might want to consider other options.
I know that there are a lot of people asking if only native speakers of French and Spanish go to those programs. And I'm a native English speaker, and I studied my first year in Spain in Spanish alongside several other people that were not native Spanish speakers either. So it's definitely possible. Of course, it's an added challenge because you're learning new material in a language that's not your native language, but it provided a much more of a holistic education for me, and I learned a lot through that. So moving on to the second question, I know there have been a lot of questions about, can I work alongside EPH? Are there extracurricular opportunities at the universities? I personally teach English online, but very few and far between. And there are some other panelists who have campus jobs, external jobs. So if you guys want to talk a little bit about what you do outside of EPH, that would be awesome.
Okay, so for me personally, what I did in Sheffield was actually join an community. Yeah, so basically I joined the Public Health Society in Sheffield University, and I also did some part-time jobs. Like I did the vaccination center. Like they opened up, like the university opened up a COVID testing center, and I applied and I got in. I also joined the Student Association for Indonesian in Sheffield. So there's actually a lot of opportunities. I also helped, I knew someone from Japan, and he was doing his thesis, and he needed like a research assistant. So I also did that. So there's actually a lot of opportunities that you could do. And especially since countries are starting to reopen, there would be more opportunities for you. And you just have to search for it. Like university will provide you with a lot of information. You just have to search for it and ask for it and also apply for it. That's what I can give to you.
In Dublin, we had this campaign called Healthy UCD, which was run by one of our professors. So she asked if anyone was interested in volunteering for it and developing activities for it. One of my friends managed social media for that. And because we were in a pandemic time, I cannot talk about all the student societies and groups at Dublin because I'm not aware of them fully. But like there are like few of the professors might have like research work going on, and one of our professors did ask if students want to be involved in it, and we get a publication by working with her. So there are opportunities if you like approach professors, or if you just like in Sheffield, there are student societies in Dublin as well. So if you just look up a few things and try to find accounts on Instagram or Facebook, I'm sure there'll be plenty of things to do alongside just PH.
And that goes very similarly into the third question, is what do students do after EPH? And as people have mentioned before, people come from a wide variety of backgrounds, and people go into a wide variety of things. For me personally, I plan to attend medical school, as some other students plan to do so as well, but people go to everything.
I think this program is a life changer. So during 2 years, we live an incredible experience as student, but also as an international environment. So many people discover the international environment and then remain in international institutions or international organizations everywhere in the world. I have to mention, because we didn't mention it before, it's not because it's a Erasmus Mundus program, but we have a lot of Europeans. I think just 20% of the students are Europeans, so people are coming from all over the world. And after they go everywhere, the Europubhealth website has conducted a survey, and you have few data available. So everything is possible after the Europubhealth program, but most of the time it remains in health-related field.
And I know some of you mentioned why you chose EPH, but if some of you could speak on why EPH over other public health programs, because of course there are so many public health programs, why this one specifically?
For me, it was just the opportunity to meet so many people from so many different countries. Like all my classmates, all the EPH people in Dublin were from each one was from a different country. So every time we had a discussion or something, we could understand culture perspective of other countries, and also understand how things are working. As a public health professional down the line, I would see myself working in a very multicultural setting, and getting insights from talking with people on a daily basis helps me to develop a very multicultural mindset, and helps me understand how things work, or the ideals and values are in different countries, which I think would be very handy down the line working in different organizations. And also you get to study in 2 countries, which is really fun, just understanding the culture, seeing how different it is. I mean, I did my first year in Ireland, now I'm in Krakow, and just seeing how things are very different, and makes you question a lot of things, and also learn from just observing a lot of the cultural aspects as well. So I feel like the EPH program is mostly, the master's course is really good, but at the same time, the interaction with people from all over the world makes it is the most important, is the unique selling point of the program, I would say.
I can say also that EPH has many advantages. Like first, because it's a second-year multidisciplinary master course. Second, you can share different kind of experience and knowledge with people from different backgrounds also. Third, you could practice another language besides English. Fourth, you can also have like the opportunity to specialize in a specific topic during the second year with knowledge of public health. So it will help you then to understand and to mix both knowledge, and it will be so effective when you will try to look job opportunities.
I think that was very similar for me as well. Is coming from the States, pretty much all public health programs in the US are very US based, and there was very little opportunity to do anything global health related. So I chose this because I'm working with people from all over the world. Most of them happen to be older than me, so they're coming from so many different backgrounds, and it's very helpful for me in my networking opportunities, and I'm understanding so much more about the field of public health and just the field of health in general in society than I think I definitely would have had I been in a room in the States with a bunch of other 23-year-old graduates. And that's definitely, if you're looking at the next question, one of my favorite parts. And a lot of you had also asked about the integration module. So if one of you wants to speak on that, that would be helpful because it's a very unique component to our master's degree.
I think it's the best part of the program because during 3 weeks, we go to Rennes campus in France and we meet all students. It's a unique moment because year 1 and year 2 are mixed and we do different group projects. So it's an help for year 1 to have an overview of year 2, and it's also really interesting for year 2 to help year 1 and to deal with very different questions because they're finishing the program. So some of them are looking for a job, some of them have already a job waiting for them. So it's a unique moment in June in the beautiful city of Rennes. So that was the answer for me of the previous question, why choose Europubhealth, because there is this third university and this third different moment, which is totally different with doing just the 2 masters separately, because you can also apply to a master at Dublin, for example, and in Paris after, but you do not have the Europubhealth certification, which made a true difference after that for job seeking.
And just to add about the integration model, it really is quite unique, apart from the fact that you get to meet everyone in the program and exchange ideas, experience, and knowledge. There's also, you have career fairs, you talk to alumni, you have the opportunity to meet prospective employers, internship opportunities and things like that. So it's kind of a culmination, just as the name says, integration. At the end of the first year and at the end of the second year, it happens, and it kind of brings everything all together, and you finish the program quite knowing that yes, you've gotten the full picture. Thanks.
Also, the integration module for me, what I really liked was the fact that we had very, very qualified visiting lecturers, you know, from their back, they shared their background, their experiences were just so incredible. You get to interact further with the year 2 students and even the year 1 students from different universities. So that interaction for me it just made it worthwhile.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Jordan, can you hear me? It's Olivier here speaking. I'm not sure you can see me. Can you hear me or not?
Yes.
Yeah, just to add, it's very nice that Desmond just added that. I was about to put that point about the integration module. Yes, because it's a great opportunity as well for the faculty of the different university to, well, we have long-term relationship now, so we work quite well, but it's a real value of the program, and thanks to Erasmus Mundus program for giving us this opportunity to invite scholars from all over the world. They really contribute. They come, they work hard, we make them work hard. And I think that's why Mashko said we should maybe call it integration and culmination program as well, module, Marion, take a mental note of that. But it is certainly something which is very distinctive of Europubhealth. I think, I'm not sure many other, even Erasmus Mundus program propose something like that. It's quite difficult to organize. We spend quite a lot of time to make that happen. But I'm personally hearing from your comments, Guy, from the alumni and the students, I'm very pleased that you believe that it's a useful part of the program. Thanks for the comment.
And moving on to the next question is, how is accommodation arranged? That varies significantly between the universities you choose. So for me in Granada and in Maastricht, I found it on my own and it was not connected to the school. Granada, most people live in apartments, shared flats with other students, And it was very easy to find that in accommodation in Granada is incredibly affordable. And in Maastricht, it was a lot more difficult. I found my accommodation that would start in September when I was booking in March. So depending on the schools that you do choose, if you are accepted, you need to be very proactive in looking for accommodation, because some cities are it's a lot more difficult to find accommodation, or it's a lot more expensive.
Yeah, for Sheffield, I would say that it's relatively easy because we started on October last year, and I actually looked for accommodation during August, if I'm not mistaken. Like it was it was very close to the starting of the program, but then I still managed to find the accommodation, and that is also because the university also provide accommodation. Like they have accommodation if you want to live there, but it's not mandatory to actually go there. So I actually compared to like private and also the university, and the pros and cons, because they have a lot of options. So for Sheffield itself, you don't really have to worry that much. Like just don't make it too close to the starting of the program. And for Paris, it was a bit harder because there's a lot more competition for the accommodation. But there are like websites, and also the university also provide like the website that you could try to look at for accommodation. But then the prices, and also the like you have to contact the person, the landlord, and you have to do all those stuff. So make sure that you have more time to prepare for Paris, especially for accommodation, because it's a lot harder compared to what I experienced back in Sheffield.
In my case, I agree with Jordan. In Granada, it's easy to find accommodation, but in Paris, I found several scams. The best way in France, and specifically in Paris, to find accommodation is through Cité Université, which is like the international student residence, or try to look different options through Airbnb for long-term stay. And in terms of amount, you can find accommodation in a good price.
Oh, maybe just to add a little for Paris, like some people actually, rent an Airbnb for like a month while actually trying to look for not a permanent, but a longer stay for their accommodation. So it's not necessarily impossible to actually, not find a long stay accommodation when you're studying here. So you could actually try to rent like Airbnb for a month while then, looking for your real accommodation. But you don't have to worry. The university will help, and there's also your friends, so it's okay.
Yes, and also like in terms of price in Paris, it could be like in a range of like 650 to 800, could be, or more. So like, you have to look a lot of times the webpage, different options, try to contact the school to help you to find a good option, because it is difficult.
In Dublin, there is a housing crisis for years due to the island of Ireland. So for students, it's possible to find something, but we have to start as early as possible. So once you receive the offer letter by the consortium, check directly what is available and call the different landlords, because once you arrive in Dublin in September, if you don't have anything, it's not easy to find something. And for Maastricht, during the second year, I think it's the same situation. In the Netherlands, they have a lot of specific rules for students, so it's not easy to find an apartment, because you need to find an apartment approved for students. But if you take as soon as possible the different deadlines, it's something and not so complex to do. But for students in Maastricht who arrived in September without any solutions, for some of them, it took a while to find something.
And the same goes with some of the placements. It varies between each of the countries. I'm in Maastricht now, like I mentioned, and we have the ability to do an internal placement with a professor for our thesis within the faculty or within the school. We have the ability to do an external placement in many countries in the world that is coordinated and organized by Maastricht, or we have the ability to choose our own placement and do our thesis completely separate from the university, as long as there's a university director and supervisor for your thesis. So there are many opportunities. They just released one of the lists for us yesterday, and you could go to India, Brazil, all over the EU and non-EU countries. There were so many options and so many different topics. And the university has an active process in helping you find those, at least in Maastricht.
I recommend, in terms of the internship, or to make some kind of network through LinkedIn also, and to search different possibilities by your own in advance. For example, at least in self-students, the financial support is a financial support that you could receive for the internship, and also will depends in the country that you will choose. So it is important that you need to know that it's important that not all their internships are paid.
And can someone from Krakow speak to your internships or placements?
Okay. With respect to Krakow, I think we had emails sent to us with different propositions. And in fact, we had a meeting today with Professor Tomasz with respect to our internships. So he shared us a document with a list of various, highlighting the various organizations. We equally have started discussing with our supervisors and began writing the proposal for the internship. So based on your proposal, you have been assigned a supervisor, and then together, like someone mentioned there already, the university has plays a very important role in helping students to find institutions where they can do their internship. I don't know if Marsh has something to add.
No, you mentioned everything.
Okay, and the last question before we go to more open Q&As. Go ahead, Cynthia, sorry.
Okay, thank you. For example, in the case of Paris, the academic coordinator gave us like an Excel sheet where she currently updates all the possible opportunities of current projects that we can be involved, the contact person, their email, and you can also try to schedule different private meetings with your specialty coordinator, because it depends if you're going to take environmental and occupational health, or epidemiology, or biostatistics. And also you have the opportunity to contact the international mobility officer, and with her try to ask for different advice regarding the topics of your interest, so that is also helpful.
And I know there obviously are two other pathways. There's a Y2 and REN, which we currently have one student doing, and she's in class right now, but I spoke to her yesterday because we're in Granada together and she absolutely loves it. But I can't speak a lot to that. And there is a year 2 in Granada as well, but we don't currently have any students there. So don't forget about those other options as well, even though they're not the most common ones. And then the last question, Marian, I believe you added it. Since it's a multi-country program, what kind of visa do students need?
Yes. Yeah, this is a question that we receive a lot because it's as you see, participating in this program requires a lot of moving and packing, but also some procedures related to visa depending on where you are from. And so what happens is that once you're selected for the program, you apply for a student visa for your first year host country from your home country. You enter the first host country with that visa and you spend the year there. And you get to apply for a student visa for your second host country while you are in your first host country. So usually this happens around March or April of the first academic year. And depending on where you're from, you need to apply on top of that for a visa to come to the integration module in Rennes. But some students do not need to do it. So we provide guidance for that during the first academic year. But before starting the program, you just need to make sure that you have a passport that will be valid for the whole duration of the course to avoid any issue while you are in Europe and in the program. And to apply for the first visa, and then you can do the rest once you are in the course. I don't know if any panelist wants to share their experience on visa or advice, tips.
Go ahead, Fauzan.
Okay, thank you. So for me, for visa, what Mariana has already mentioned before, that we apply for the student visa in our first year university or country, and then after that, I applied for my second country in Paris for the EU in the UK itself. So it's relatively easy, but then you have to actually know like what documents you actually need to have and stuff like that beforehand. That would actually make it so much smoother when actually applying for visa. And also, well, at least for me personally, as what I experienced is that Indonesian students have actually like provided some tips and tricks to apply for the visa and also what to expect in the incoming study. So you could actually like look for those kinds of workshops maybe. Well, I'm not sure if your country has it, but you could find those workshops where they could actually like give you tips and tricks on the visa application itself. So just make sure you also read the website for the visa application, because it's already clear in the website that maybe if you have like questions and stuff like that, you could actually ask like alumni or maybe the second year students or maybe the consortium if you have any questions, and they would help you answer your question.
And my advice with any of the things that we've spoken to is do it as soon as you possibly can. I thought I did the visa immediately, but I lagged a week or two. And then that meant that in order for me to arrive in Granada on time, I had to pay a speed fee in order to get there. And like I personally did have to travel even during COVID times to Miami, where my embassy was, to actually get my visa. And none of those fees are covered. And that is something that's taken into consideration. It is expensive to apply to visas and it is time consuming, but they make it that way. And once you're able to get your visa, it's a lot easier to do the residence permits when you get into the country. So be proactive in all of these cases if you are accepted.
With respect to, in my situation, I personally got a delay during the visa application process. So like all of the other speakers have already mentioned, you want to apply well ahead of time to ensure in case of any delay, you will still be able to meet up, you will still be able to catch up. I had a lot of support initially from the University of Sheffield and the consortium at the time. So I was finally granted a visa, came into the UK. So in Krakow as well, every document was being provided for us, which we needed to take to the embassy. In addition to our personal documents, we did that well ahead of time, and we were all able to arrive a few weeks to days prior to the start of the program. So I think it's just to apply well ahead of time, give it time, and everything should work out well. And if there is any hitches on the way, be rest assured that you will have all the support from the university, the consortium, your colleagues, to make it hitch-free.
I'll just add a bit. In Nigeria, is when applying for the UK visa, it was actually easy and straightforward in the sense that not just for Europubhealth, but all the other Erasmus programs. So usually the European Union office in Nigeria, they organize a pre-departure orientation for all Nigerians that get the Erasmus Mundus scholarship. And following that, if you apply for your visa and let's say you need it to be, you have a short period of time or there's any difficulty or any delays, the European Union office is quite ready to help. So you just need to send them your email. I can still remember in our case, they asked everyone that had applied for a visa to send them the date you submitted your application, your name and your passport number. They'll follow it up and make sure that everything just goes smoothly. So it's quite important to have that support. And applying for the Polish visa as well, like Desmond said, it was quite straightforward. We had all the documents provided from here in Krakow and also in Sheffield. And also it's quite important to know that you yourself, you need to do your due diligence, make sure that you follow the application procedures that are outlined on the website. You shouldn't just, because you have documents, just go and submit anything. You just have to follow everything as it's supposed to be, and everything will go smoothly.
And other than that, we just have about 15 minutes left, and a lot of the questions in the Q&A are being posted just about if we could give a short explanation of our application journey and how we think that a strong application can be made. So anyone can go ahead.
For me, I think
Jordan, please, can you ask again? Sorry.
It's okay. Just in general, a lot of people are asking how our application process went and what we think makes a good application.
For me personally, what worked for me was just talking with people who had been part of the program or who had applied for similar programs and just getting the ideas on how to make my application stronger or what do the application review committees look for. I personally had redone my motivation letter about 5 or 6 times. So I had like the first draft, second, third, fourth, and like sent it out to people to ask for, okay, how does this sound? Like, how does this read and everything? And just, I think like just planning different stages of the application as well. Okay, like the letters from your referees need to be uploaded by the referee. So when should you start contacting them? Should you follow up? And like if you need to upload a language test, and if you have not taken language test till now, when should you be taking it, when your results come out, and just like going through, yeah, just planning it out in steps and focusing on how you highlight your skills in the motivation letter. And still, like, for me, like just talking with people helped a lot for me. To suggest that.
Yeah, I'm actually, it's very similar for me when I applied for this program. Like the deadline at that time was 15th of January, if I'm not mistaken. And I haven't, well, I just graduated on 2019. I applied for the 2020 program. And so basically I only had like 6 months, I would say 6 months. But then during that 6 months, I searched for the program. I read the requirements and then get prepared for those requirements. Like for example, referee, I already asked the person I wanted them to give reference for me for at least like 3 months before, and like actually ask them, are they willing to, and also if they could actually, provide any guidance for me when applying. And then also for the motivation letter, I redid it for at least 3 times, if I'm not mistaken. So I wrote my first draft and then asked people to read it, give me feedbacks, and then I asked them again for my second redo, and then I did it again until I'm actually quite happy with it. And then for the English, so I didn't have any IELTS before, and the thing that you have to actually consider is actually the time where you apply for the test, because I wanted to do it on December, but then I realized that the December period was actually out of, because it was holiday. So I had to do it like 2 weeks before the deadline, and that was not good. So please make sure you know when to take the English test if you have to, and also other documents that you need to actually, apply for it. So then after I got my IELTS, that was actually the last document, and I submitted like the last day of the deadline. It wasn't the best experience, but you have to really consider the time period that when you are going to apply, and also when is the deadline. So that's all I could say.
Go ahead, Olivier.
Oh, hello, thanks, Jordan. Yes, I discovered that I could raise my hand. Sorry. Just a minute. All what was said was very sound. I think very sound advice. And, it doesn't guarantee you to be successful, but I think if you follow them, you're on the good path. And I said to sum up what wasn't just said, try and apply with care and consideration. We have and I've seen a lot of questions on the discussion that many other many kind of background can apply. Veterinary studies, nutritionist, orthodontist, and so forth. Yeah, all these kind of profile have been successfully applying to the European program, and no problem. We enjoy the program, I think, very well. But yeah, it does take time, and just as I repeat, apply with care and consideration, and you give yourself the best chances, I think.
I know for me, obviously I didn't have to worry about the English requirement because I've studied in English my entire life until last year. But what I really focused on was, how do I convey that my desire to work and collaborate on an international scale, how that aligns with the things I've studied, the things in which I was involved in the past and now, and how do I explain my plan to combine those in the future. And for my letter, I had people that were very important to me read it. So I had my research director, my principal investigator, my thesis director for my bachelor's, and then someone who supervised me in a leadership role because I applied for the Maastricht leadership track. I had all 3 of them provide references for me and then read over my application to ensure that what I was saying lines up with how they do see me and how they do see my prospects. So having external sources, as others mentioned, help talk to people, reach out to EPHSA, as they mentioned, if you want to be connected with students and we can see what we can do, and really just trying to understand why you make your application, so that when the selection committee is reading the application, they read your application and they say, we need this person in this spot, not anyone else. This person needs to be here. So do your best to explain why you have all these qualifications and why you need to be educated in this program.
Yes, I think the motivation letter is really important. When I applied to this program, I was really skeptical because my grades in bachelor were not so good. I was graduated in 2012, so it was 9 years after. So I thought, am I eligible? I didn't know. And I applied and I explained in my motivation letter my pathway in my different jobs since my graduation. I was a physiotherapist when I graduated and slowly moved to advocacy. So I explained that. I was not sure about the outcome, but I was sure my motivation letter was the best of what I can offer to the selection committee, because it was just the truth. I explained why I'm not just a physiotherapist and why I did something else. And when I talked about that with my friends to prepare it, I said to them, yeah, just won't get in this master because for a physiotherapist, he has to remain physiotherapist. And it was just the reverse, because there's many applications and people in the program, once they enter in the program, you discuss with them and you discover, oh, wow, that's amazing. So you went from point A to point B, or you studied in this country previously, or you studied this, but you were a volunteer for something else. And that's what makes people unique, and that's why I think the motivation letter is the best moment to show your incredible skills.
And there's also have been a lot of questions I've seen about the references. I had someone, as I mentioned, I had a professor who taught me in an academic form who also happened to be my thesis advisor. I had her provide me a reference, and then I had a academic related, but not one of my professors, who was actually my research mentor, my principal investigator. So I had her write me one as well, because she can speak to, I won several grants and I'm working on publications, and she sees me in a more professional sense, in a research sense, not related to public health. I do nursing research. And then I had my thesis director and professor talk about my classroom and my academic abilities.
With respect to the one of the last words, I think one of the things which I would advise all prospective students is to one of the things which I would advise all prospective students is to read every detail of the website. The website has a lot of information, and most of your questions will be answered from the website. That is my first advice. Secondly, I always encourage students that if you wish to study in 2023, for example, you start preparing in 2022. So you give yourself enough time, you make sure your motivation letter is up to date, everything is up to date. Personally, at every point that I had a look at my motivation letter, I had something to correct, I had something to adjust. And just like my other colleagues, I sent it several times for review. I equally think one of some of the frequently asked questions would be about the language proficiency. Just to make a little comment with respect to that, you want to make sure that you are eligible with respect to your English language proficiency. I think Anna would confirm more than 1/3 or 1/4 of the application is being eliminated based on the eligibility criteria, that is the English language proficiency. So you want to make sure you are eligible, so you stand a chance that your application gets to the second stage. I think that is just to explain further the English language proficiency. What I learned and what I gathered over the year is if, for example, the overall score in the IELTS is about 6.5, no less than 6.5 in writing and 6 in the other components. That means that even if you have a 7 overall, but your writing component is less than 6.5, maybe 5, you end up being eliminated. You end up being ineligible. So your application does not go towards the next stage. I just wanted to really emphasize with respect to the English language. And I know there are lots of candidates who have studied in English, and the question always comes up. I have studied throughout in English. Do I need to provide an English language proficiency? Based on there are a list of selected countries. Unfortunately, you just need to check to ensure your country is among. If your country is not among, unfortunately, you would need to provide the English language proficiency. I think that is all what I wanted to say with respect to that. Feel free to contact any of us. If you need further advice, you need further coaching, you need a review of your application, we will always be here to give you that helping hand. Thank you.
And as the answers have been posted several times, because it is 4:30, if you want to screenshot this with if you have selection, more logistical questions about scores, requirements, etc., you can email the selection team. And if you want to talk to a student to get a better understanding of the personal experiences, you can use the Facebook, or I don't know how to type the email in to the Q&A because I don't have access to it. But if you reach out to the Facebook, the public Facebook group, which is that link. I know many of you have tried to access the private group and you won't be allowed in because you're not a member of the program. So click on this link and you can be accepted into the program to ask your questions there, or to DM directly the people that are coordinating that page. And if you want to be connected with a student, we can do the best we can. But also keep in mind there are 800 plus applications and applicants behind each of those. So it's very hard to connect every single student, as all of the current students and alumni are very busy.
Thank you very much. I think our time is up. We still have some questions coming in the Q&A box, but we'll take good notes of them, and we'll see if there are any questions that we haven't answered yet, and if so, we'll publish answers on the website. Thank you very much to our panelists, to Jordan for co-hosting this webinar, and we look forward to receiving your applications. Good luck to everyone.
Julia, is there a way that you can share the EPHSA email in the chat? I can't figure out how to do it.
I think the chat box is deactivated, that's why.
Okay.
But you can find our contact details on the website anyway.
Yes.
So do not hesitate. Okay, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you
and
all.
have a nice rest
all
of
the
the day.
best in your applications.
Thank you, everybody. Well done.